Hi everyone, it's Happymailqueen. I'm coming on to do a tutorial. A couple of you have asked for me to do a tutorial on my little rosette pops here. I'm going to go ahead and show you just the basic of how to create the rosettes on the bottom here and how to layer them. I'm not going to, stamp and color and do any die cuts or stickling or anything like that. I just want to show you guys how I do the rosettes using the cupcake wrappers. Okay, so I'm basically going to show you how to create one of these. So it's real simple, really simple rosette. So what you're going to need are cupcake wrappers. So I'm going to use this one here, the gingham pattern, the one I got from Hobby Lobby. You're going to need some craft sticks or lollipop sticks, cake pop sticks I think they're called sometimes. And then you're going to need a 1-inch punch, some scrap paper, any scrap paper so you can punch out your circle. I've already punched out mine, it's right here. And that's what you're going to use. So, first of all, you want to cut your cupcake liner. And so the way I cut it is I go ahead and cut the side. And then I go all the way around. And I just cut that bottom part off. And I mean, just try to keep it straight as much as possible, but you just kind of want to keep it even and the same size, but you could always trim it later. Okay, so that's how you start. Now you're not going to use the whole piece here, you're probably going to cut a little bit off at the end, but I'll show you that in a sec. Okay, so you're going to take your, see if I can lift this up. My nails are not allowing me. Okay. Alright, here we go. So, you're going to start by just putting a little bit of glue, not in the center, okay? You want to just dab a little glue, and then you're just going to kind of, push the pleats a little bit together. Just like that, not too much. What's nice about using cupcake wrappers is that you don't have to create the pleats. They're already there. It's just about working it around this circle and gluing it so that it the pleats stay even. Which is kind of hard to do with these cupcake wrappers if you don't know how to glue it down right. So see how I'm just kind of working it all the way around, and I'm just kind of following the pleats. I'm not creating new pleats. I'm just basically just trying to follow the circular pattern here, but just kind of just pushing it a little bit, to create the shape like that. And don't worry if it gets a little wrinkled. Remember, you're still gonna layer this with another rosette on top, and also you're gonna put your center. So I really hope I'm in frame, you guys. So that's how you do it, and you just keep going until you reach the end here, and you're actually going to kind of overlap, which I will show you in a minute. Let's just make sure we close this up right here. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Now, also when you choose your cupcake liners, just make sure you're not getting ones that are like crazy wrinkled. And you would be able to tell especially if it was like a solid color. You can't tell so much because of this is gingham. Okay, so you want to just cut, oh, I'm going to cut maybe that much off. Okay, and now I'm just going to kind of work it so that my little tail end here will go in one of these grooves in here. And I'm going to glue it down so then you don't see the seam. So let's see here. I think I'm just going to cut a little bit more here. You kind of have to see when you go all the way around, like so, where it's going to settle, that end part. And right here for me, see that? That's just going to go in this groove right here. That's where I want to aim, okay? So, keeping that in mind, I'm going to put a little glue here and kind of work my way there to that little section where I want this to catch over here. And yeah, kind of have to fuss a little bit there. Okay, so then just put some glue down all the way, and then just see if I can tuck it in there. Okay, I didn't do such a great job there, but let me just take that excess glue off. And there you go. So it's not so obvious where the seam is, right? But it doesn't matter. If your seam does show, that's where you're going to put your lollipop stick, okay? So just keep that in mind. That's probably where you're going to want to put that there. And so if it's not even right here, like, see that? Oh, focus. See how it's a little uneven right here on the right side, right here? You can just cut that off. And if your circle doesn't look too circular, you could also kind of trim. Okay, so see, it looks pretty good, right? Okay, let's do another one because we want a top layer. So for the top layer, you do want to make it a little bit smaller. So for the rosette right here, for the top layer, what I did was make this about 1 inch. So we can cut here. You can kind of see that 1 inch from measuring here. You want maybe 1/4 of an inch off this. So that's what I'm going to do right here. Oops, I'm not in frame. Sorry guys, I'm trying to avoid my glue gun here too. That's right really close to me. So I don't burn myself. So you're going to go all the way and just cut that off. Okay, so take another circle punch. Let me just do another one. And I dropped it. Let me get another circle punch out. All right. Okay, so we're going to take that piece there that we just cut and put another dab. And again, not all the way in the center. And you're just going to kind of follow the pleats, but kind of going, following that circle shape. It is going to take you a little bit longer than if you were just to cut the bottom off and then plop it on your circle, you know, your punched circle. it is going to be a little bit longer because you're putting your glue on a little bit at a time. But for me, I'd rather do that and have a perfect, or pretty close to perfect rosette than to have to fuss with it later. So, and again, I like doing these rosettes because, first of all, it's pretty inexpensive to buy these cups. They come in different colors, they come in different patterns, different sizes. You can even do the teeny tiny ones, and I like that they're not very dimensional once you create them, so that there are some projects that, you know, you can't have, like, you can't use a rosette because they're just way too bulky, like your mini albums or your flip books, cards, you know. So yeah, that's why it's nice to have an alternative way of doing a rosette. Okay, so I'm almost there. I hope you guys are following me okay. Okay, so you do want to overlap a little bit, okay? You do want to overlap. But I'm going to go ahead and cut maybe around here. And just to hide your seam right here, or where it breaks right here, you want to, when you go around gluing this, you want to just kind of tuck this end part in one of the grooves here so that you don't see it. So just kind of fuss with it and see where you think it's not going to show, like right here. I think that's where I want to go. So then I will put glue and along that groove, sorry, am I in frame? Along that groove where I want to tuck this in. So I hope you saw that. It's not focusing, is it? Okay, this is where I cut it. And see, you can barely tell that, you know, there's a seam there. And then you can just cut the excess if you went a little bit over. You can just kind of cut it. Sometimes they don't come out even, and just flip it over and just try to make it as circular as possible. You might have to fuss with it a little bit, but not really. You know, if you want to be a perfectionist. But anyway, that's not too bad right there. So yeah, now you're going to want to layer this. Layer this over the bigger rosette that you have. Right there. Okay. And see, that should fit in right there. So you're just going to hot glue that. Okay. But before you do that, maybe go ahead and use your craft stick. It depends. I mean, if your like for this one right here, I basically glued because I knew I was going to put ribbon and all kinds of stuff here, and I knew that this was going to cover where the craft stick was going to be. You know, you can either glue this on top right here, okay, or you can glue it in between. However you want to do it. You can glue it from the back if you want to, but I prefer not to because I don't like it sticking out like that. In this case, since I don't have, this is how my rosette's going to look. I'm just going to go ahead and glue in between my rosettes. Okay, so where was that seam? See how we see the seam right there? So that's where I'm going to want to glue my craft stick. Right there. So just to hide that little imperfection. But you can do this any which way you want, really. This is just how I do it. Okay. Then you can add this one on top, and it looks a little bit more perfect that way, see? So you're just gonna put some glue. You put a little more glue there if you want. Lots of glue so it doesn't come apart on you. Just try to center it as best as you can. Just give it a little press. Okay, and then just choose a center. You know, if you want to put an egg, Easter egg maybe, or maybe a couple of Easter eggs. Whatever's going to work for your center. Or you can just use a flower like that one. So let's get a flower. And this one's a good one right here. I usually just take the foam off here because that does make it a little bit more dimensional. And again, if you're going to put this inside a flip book or something like that, you obviously don't want something as dimensional as this flower here. But I'm not planning on putting this one inside a flip book, so I love using these for decorating packages. So we're just going to do that right there. Put that on the center. And there you go. You can put a ribbon right here if you'd like. Whatever dangle you want. But that is how you make the rosette. And then I like to stickle it also. So you can just put little dabs of, you know, stickles. The way I do my stickles, let me just show you that. I'll take my stickle and let me see if I can get it going here. I go along the grooves, just all the way around. You know, doesn't have to be like perfect, but I do like how they look. And especially in the back, if you're not planning to decorate the back much, just a little dab of stickles will be, you know, pretty decorative already. Since that's kind of plain, I would put another flower there, but you can definitely just kind of stickle this up as well, like so, on the grooves. Okay, however you want to do it. But that's how I do my rosettes. So I hope you guys found this helpful and have fun creating these. They are so easy and cost effective, you know, really. You can find these cupcake wrappers anywhere, so grocery store, anywhere, really. And there's different ones. So there you go. All right, talk to you guys later. Bye. Bye.